Okay, so the first day of VEDA, I wanted to talk about the names for, I don't want to say why we named our kids the way we did, but, and kind of what's going, you know, but just kind of talk about the names. Because I realize they've never really completely explained it all, or at least it's all, I don't think it's been one video that it's all been explained. So with my All growing up, I've always liked unique names. I like the fact that I was the only Janet throughout, through my whole time in school. I was the only Janet. Typically, I was the only Janet in school as well, so it's very easy. Um, I loved it. I always hated very common names or like names that, you know, just really common names like the Sarahs and Jessicas and all that. It just, and I'm sorry if those are your names, A, you didn't get to pick your name, your parents did. Or, but if you do like those names, I'm sorry, it's just not my, it's not me. I like unique names. I like um, really different names, especially family names. So my son, when I was pregnant with him, we didn't want to know until he was born. If he was a boy or a girl, we were team green, didn't want to know. Um, because we were living in an apartment, so we couldn't really decorate the nursery. The bedding was all very gender neutral. It was ocean themed, which we had started collecting stuff before I was even pregnant. I think it was actually after our wedding I started collecting some things here and there that were just kind of like a, hey, yeah, you know what, I really want that for the nursery. Um, Knowing at some point we would be buying a house, so to just say, okay, well, we'll hold on to it. But we knew we'd be buying a house after the baby was born. So we went very gender neutral, so it really didn't matter. Even the stuff that was monogrammed, we knew that both of them would have the same initials because it had to be an M. So it was pretty set in stone that it really did not matter. Um, didn't really matter knowing ahead of time because even the coming home outfit, we started a tradition that I would love to see my kids continue. And I'm kind of sad that this is the last one, but my dad goes and gets the coming home outfit, which is takes a huge weight off of my shoulders because you don't have to pack. Because my brother, this is the reason that I stressed about it because my brother didn't fit in newborn clothes. So my fear was, oh my gosh, imagine if I bought newborn clothes and they don't fit him and fit the baby. And it was always something I panicked about before we got pregnant. So my dad, after the baby was born, after he was born, he went out and bought, they actually, my mom and my dad and my mother-in-law and father-in-law went out and they bought a whole bunch of clothes for him. So he had boys' clothes, but we didn't, because we didn't really buy a lot of clothes until after he was born. Because of that fear of, oh my gosh, what about if he's, what if the baby's a huge chunky monkey, or what if it's skinny mini, and yeah. So we didn't buy anything. So yeah, it didn't matter. So we were discussing the names, and my husband is a Michael, and when he was named Michael, it was a number one name. And some of you guys that are married to Michaels, they might be the same way. I know quite a few Michaels that are like this, that they're not happy that their name was bumped. So when they have a boy, they name them Michael. Because one of the guys that I worked with at the other school, he was a Mike, and so they had their daughter first, and he named her Mackenzie, which they called her Mike. And then they had their next child was a boy, so they named it Michael Jr., which they call him Mikey. And it's funny. And then another one of my friends, they just had a boy and they also named him Michael Jr. yeah, a lot of, I don't know. So my husband really wanted a Michael Jr., and I did not. I hate the name Michael, and his middle name is Stephen, and I hate it. So we were sitting there talking about the names, and I said, oh my gosh, I hate the name Michael, and I hate the name Stephen. And my mother-in-law said, ugh, Janet, I said, I didn't marry your son because of his name, which, yeah, that's odd. I could care less about his name. Um, but yeah, so he wanted a junior, and I felt that I would be a hypocrite because my brother, he is a junior, and when him and his girlfriend got pregnant and they were having a boy, he wanted a Paul the Third, and she said absolutely not. And I got mad at her because I'm like, really? So I got mad at her, so I felt that I couldn't really get mad at him if he really wanted a junior. So I said, fine, whatever, you can have your junior. And then I just call him Mikey. He's my Mikey. Then my daughter, when we were pregnant with her, we did talk about boys' names, and my husband said, ugh, I think it's a girl, so let's not even fight about this. Because we were fighting quite a bit about the names, because I said, you know, I wanted either way I'd be honoring my great grandparents, so I wanted it to either be what her name is, or if it was a boy, for it to be Samuel, because that was my great grandfather's name. And my husband said you can't because his grandmother had a cat named Sammy. And I'm like, this is my baby, not a cat, I wish people would name cats by human names, Oh, I'm so frustrated. So he said, but let's just wait. So when we found out it was a girl, name was set. So now being pregnant with number 3, the rules have to be, because the first name for a girl is Madeline, which is French. And because we're honoring my grandparents, my mom's parents, that I absolutely love and adore, and I miss them so much, which is my grandmother's first name, is my middle name. So it's going to be this baby. If it's a girl, it's going to be her middle name. But we're going with Madeline because I've always loved the books as a kid, and it was actually the very first book that my grandfather bought me, was a Madeline book. So, and it's French, and he was French. Granddad never said that he was French because he fought in World War II. He was not happy that the French, they cared more about that Eiffel Tower, because this was his exact words, that they cared about that stupid piece of steel over human life. That was his thing. So he did not like to be called, he wasn't a Frenchman, but he was French. I'll put it this way, his last name was very, very French, which is why I talk with my hands, because I am part French. But my daughter's name, actually going back to that, is Italian, which is my father's heritage, which Italians talk with their hands too. So that's why I talk with my hands, because I am part French and part Italian. So it's just a little interesting. So even though I didn't get any of the nice, beautiful Italian tanning skin, my dad kept it all. Which, trust me, yeah, he tans in the shade, and he gets like a nice, perfect tan. Like, he tans in the winter too. It's like, and he doesn't mean to. He's not like sitting out there tanning. He just tans. It sucks. It's not fair. So anyways, we wanted to, since the first name has to be French, both kids, their middle names are already picked out, but I'm not going to share them quite yet. But the only name we are stuck on is the boy's first name. So if you guys have any suggestions, Madison, I know everyone says Madison because it is French. That is completely out because my husband does not like boy-girl names. Because Madison, we do have a friend that they have a girl that's Madison, and we have a friend that has a boy that's Madison. So my husband said no Madison because of the fact he wants, if somebody, they apply for a job, he wants them to not be if they're expecting to see, a female, it's a female. That's my husband's belief. He doesn't, which it might have something to do with the Michael, because I know he hates the name Michelle, which is Michael. So he hates the name. I don't know. So, yeah, and I like the name. If you guys have seen Les Mis, Marius, I love the name. I've loved it since I was younger, but that was shot down by everybody in the family because they said it sounds too feminine. But it is an old French name, which is exactly what we want. We want a old French name, and it has to be, French. So if you guys have any suggestions, please down below. And it has to start with an M. So, yeah, so I guess I will talk to you guys later.